11th Hour on Radio Sri Lanka, the program that illustrates the rediscovery of the glitz and the glam of the nation's most prominent entertainers and eminent personalities from the corporate sector. Join us
on every Mondays
at 11 a.m. exclusively on Radio Sri Lanka, 97.4 and 97.6 FM island-wide. A very good morning to all our dear listeners listening to Radio Sri Lanka and yet another program on 11th Hour. Event planning and operations, event sponsorship and marketing, and field experiences are considered as the most important dimensions of event management. However, a successful event, end of the day, depends on the inevitable link between the event and the compere as well. This is certainly a very challenging interview personally to me, since a veteran in the industry is right next to me, analyzing my speaking skills as well. And I have to state every spoken word with caution and attentiveness, since the focus is on me. But he's a wonderful gentleman with an amazing voice. Hence, I'm sure he will sincerely excuse my shortcomings, and I consider it as a privilege, since I can obtain a free evaluation report at the end of the show. We are so pleased to have you here back again at SLBC, Mr. Faizal Bongso.
Good morning, Sabrina. It feels great to be back. My God, it brings back lovely, sweet memories and nostalgia, of course. Well, looking at my friend on the other side, the OA, as we used to call them those days, you know, it brings back memories of how we used to be presenting the morning show, Bright Spot. And the most popular was Holiday Choice on a Saturday and a Sunday afternoon. So it feels great to be back. Thank you very much for inviting me. And feel free, because, you know, those days we were never bothered about pronunciation. Of course, there were a couple of people who were there to pull us up if we were to make a mistake. But I thought things would have changed now, because we need to change. For me, I believe that if you evolve, you can definitely be in the industry. I see a lot of my colleagues who are with me are no more in the field. That's because they never changed. You've got to change if you've got to be in the industry. And I must endorse the fact that we need to change not only in the way we present, but in our entire mannerism, the way we look at things. Because I joined in 1981, and this place was considered to be the number one. I want it to be the number one even now, because there are lots of private radio stations that are competing with us. And I must tell you that when I joined in 81, I was probably, I'll give you my age, I was 19 years, straight from college after my A-levels. And, you know, when I came in here, I realized I worked with a lot of people who were, in fact, mentally sick. They were people who never would appreciate talent. And surviving in this place was such a difficult thing, and I hope and pray that it has changed now, because we are living in a modern world. And when I went into Rupavahini, there was this same attitude by most of the seniors, but when they went out and I was the most senior, I changed it. I wanted them to have healthy competition, and when there's healthy competition, definitely you can get the best from everybody.
I feel like summing up the entire conversation, because I'm speechless. But then again, the formalities have got to follow.
One person has gone through the mill. He would tell you the OA. I've gone through many
and our
tough
program
times.
Producer now, Mr. Dominic Pereira.
Yes, Dominic is now program producer. Congratulations, because I've been out of touch, not been in this field for a long time. Love to come back, like to do some, announcing on and off, but time doesn't permit me to do so. Very involved in comparing, as you were saying, because to be very honest, it's a financial aspect that I'm into comparing. I did do it from 1981, thanks to, I don't know whether most of you remember, I think Dominic remembers, the late Carol Sella. She gave me the first break as a compere at her company Dinner Dance, and ever since it was no looking back. And I am proud. I've got the blessings of Almighty. I yet compare a lot of. So,
could you provide some insights into the current status of event management?
Well, that's a good question. Where event management is concerned, we really don't have professional event managers per se. Everybody is in this business. Everybody, when they know it's lucrative, they get into event management, not having any experience whatsoever. Well, event management is not an easy job to do. You need to have vast experience, in making sure that everything works fine. Make sure that your LED screen is working. Make sure that the mics are professional mics that you use. Make sure that there's enough lighting. There's a whole lot of things to do, and even where the entertainment aspect is concerned.
So when it comes to broadcasting, a compare depicts a professional who moderate programs such as talk shows and panel discussions. And it is of utmost importance that a broadcasting compare should strategize on certain skills. Your expertise, please, in elaborating this set of skills that's required.
Let me tell you that I am from the old school, but I don't believe in being just, very staccato, very stiff in my style of comparing. When I was talking at the beginning, at the inception about evolving, that's what I meant, because I felt most of our compeers of our time, and most of them even now, I think they need to change, because when I compare an event, I have this rapport with the audience. I think that's very important, because what has happened here with the broadcasters, I mainly say the broadcasters, because we're not seen, we can't see the person on the other side, so we tend to be a little stiff. We don't get to them. And I believe that we should get to them. We should actually talk to them. When I actually compare, I say, good evening, can I hear your voices? Good evening. That's what I get.
Connect.
I connect with them. Because if you just say, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, warm welcome
the
to
typical formal way.
Exactly. You need to change. But of course, there are events where, very formal events, like for instance, if His Excellency the President is there, or if the Honorable Prime Minister is there, then you can't be
maybe like state awards and
exactly.
so on.
It's not a light event, so you've got to be very serious. Well, you've got to draw the line. It's, for that matter, like elocution. I always say, I don't advocate elocution. For me, I don't like that style because you sound very artificial. I've never done elocution, or for that matter, speech or whatever. When I started, in fact, when I applied for this job, it was actually my A-level teacher while I was studying at Wesley College. I was initially at EC Patan up to my O-levels. When I went in to do my A-levels at Wesley, I'm sure some of you have heard of this famous personality, Heg Karnaratne. He was handling, drama there at college. He made all of us read. And the moment I started reading, he stopped the entire class and said, hey, listen to this guy. I was like astonished. He said, go, continue reading. I said, sir, why? Just read. So I continued reading. And the moment I finished, he said, Faizal, you will be a broadcaster. Take it from me, apply. And, well, true to his words, this became a reality.
A good compare must have the latest information on the subject matter. This knowledge should transcend in a manner where he or she should extend to the latest development which is ongoing, linking to the field of discussion. What sort of an opinion would you share with regard to the announcer's eagerness for data and information to create a productive program?
That's a very good question. I think as an announcer, as a compeer, you've got to do a lot of studying before you, go ahead with the program. For me, I am not a cricket lover. I've only played rugby and done athletics, and basketball. For me, when I compare events like, for instance, a cricket award ceremony, which I've been doing for years, the Schoolboy Cricketers Awards, I always double check. In fact, if I have to introduce a chief guest, I don't go just by what I'm given. If a profile is given, I go to the extent of even, you can Google. There are lots of, technology is highly advanced today. And I find out, so it's very important. If you are an announcer like what you're doing right now, I love your style. I love the amount of, effort you put into this whole thing, because I can tell you, this is something that I did not have. Lots of the seniors do not want to accept that they were not as good as you all. I think this is a problem. This is going on to all my seniors. Remember, you are not the best. You have never been the best. The younger crowd, they are much better than you and I, because you all are exposed to a lot of things. Dominic knows, from those days, I always say, it's a matter of opinion. People can say, well, Faisal, you're very good. But no, it's a matter of opinion. One man's food is the other man's poison. Ultimately, it's
Certainly.
your performance that actually speaks for itself.
I'm speechless once again.
Oh my God! No, I'm a person, Sabrina. I'm outspoken. I really believe that I have been blessed to be in this industry for 42 years, and this is the time. I was longing for this because I wanted to speak out and tell people, whoever, if you're listening to me, remember that if you have the flair, go for it. Try to get into broadcasting. Try to get into television. You know, we met a beautiful lady when we walked in, and I told her place is television because
Not
she's
behind the mic.
Exactly, she's
Microphone,
all in
rather.
it. And it's sad. This is another thing I need to convey. It's very, very sad because people who are unfit for our profession are yet here. We should not have them here. They should be somewhere else. But the people of it now, the girl we met when we walked in should really be on television. She should be a television star. I mean, she has it, her personality. That's the way I look at it. For the problem is there are a lot of people who do not want to speak out. They don't want to speak out because they are insecure. When you're secure, you can praise somebody. He knows it. Our producer knows it because those days I've always spoken about people who are good. And he knows I fight when people are mentally sick, when they undercut, when they try to throw somebody out, when they feel they're better than the other. I said, no way, you can't do that. That shouldn't be the case.
Very, very true. And I wish this program will continue until the 12th hour. Since we have got so much to discuss.
Oh my God, I'm very happy. Thank you for giving me this opportunity because I need to convey this to everybody. Because I'm telling you, Sabrina, all these interviews sometimes are the usual form where they'll say, and they blow their own trumpets. I've seen once when I was, interviewed on a program called Legends on the opposite side, Rupamai Corporation, a lovely program they did. I remember the question we all of us were asked. We had three other legends. One was Arjuna Ranavana, the other one was Rabinatha R. Singh. I'm not going to mention the other person's name because the person was also a person who thought that she was the best and never thought the others were better than her. So the last question we got was, how would you rate the seniors, y'all, with the youngsters who are presenting today? So the other two were very discreet. They said, yes, sir, well, we have our plus points, they have their plus points. And then it came to her. Moment she got the question, she went on blowing her own trumpet. I interviewed this leader, I interviewed that leader. Who cares? Who cares? Because ultimately what matters is that you need to convey and give. It's not a form of encouragement, but it's something that we all see. The youngsters, all of y'all are amazing. Y'all really are very intelligent. Y'all have a lot of exposure. And the two presenters who are in front of me, I said, they are ample testimony because the questions they asked us, I was never as good as they were when I was their age. So that's something that you can't deny. It's a fact.
Let's reword this program as 11th hour to be continued.
I love it.
Sometimes a panel discussion program can become a heated debate. People management skills are certainly essential. Am I not right?
Definitely.
If so, how can one master this art?
Well, this has to be done, very intelligently. Because I remember when I was on a panel discussion, there was a heated argument. Someone like me who spoke out, and the other could not accept what that person was saying, and I had to intervene. I think that is, the smartness of the announcer, the compere, whoever is handling that. You've got to be smart enough to do that.
So it is a self-learned art.
Yes, I suppose. And also you've got to curb your temper. That's very important.
Whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not. Yes, definitely agree with you.
A compere must be able to come up with new ideas on the spur of the moment. How can one think on one's feet when it comes to creativity?
Well, that's another very good question because I think it's not blowing my own trumpet. I think people who are listening to me know because I am a compere who is, well, from the old school but very modern in my style. There have been a lot of events, especially the dinner dances, where you've got to think at the spur of the moment, bring in fun games, excitement, and for some reason, it's because probably I'm very natural in my style. I always love people. I love them to do the same job I've been doing, give them a lot of encouragement, and I can be proud to say that I have put in about 50 to 60 students of mine into television and on radio. One radio announcer who works for y'all, Prashant, is also one of my students.
A good friend of mine as well. A compere should have an attitude always as if he or she is in the moment, fully engaged. An announcer should be disciplined in his or her mind so he doesn't forget about being on stage. Let me conclude with this note saying, a compere should be conscious of the time and always adhere to time. I'm sure you can sum it up with that statement for me, Mr. Bongso.
Amazing questions. This has happened to me, but I'm glad I'm one person. I always believe that when I make an announcement, it should be short, sweet and effective, very effective, very effective, because effectiveness is the key. Because I know for sure that there are a lot of announcers, compeers, who tend to play with words. They tend to talk too much. And if you actually go through and study thoroughly, you realize that even if you're doing a presentation, if you go beyond 10 minutes, people lose that attention. So a message to everybody, budding compeers, budding announcers, talk, but don't talk too much, because that can irritate the listener or the viewer or people in the audience.
Effective is the key. Tip for success.
Thank you.
I snatched it through this conversation. Thank you so much for connecting with 11th Hour, Mr. Bongso.
It's a pleasure. Love being here today. Thank you very much. I think this is one of the best interviews I've been. Thank you very much.
Pleasure is mine as well. I'm Sabrina Zawahir signing off. 11th Hour on Radio Sri Lanka, the program that illustrates the rediscovery of the glitz and the glam of the nation's most prominent entertainers and eminent personalities from the corporate sector. Join us
on every Mondays
at 11 a.m. exclusively on Radio Sri Lanka, 97.4 and 97.6 FM island-wide.